now. It's going to be dumb, but Rousey's going to end Asuka's streak, and it's going to be shitty.
Oh, hell no.
We should be online. It doesn't look like we are, though. The fuck? Oh, there it goes. Hey, there we go. No. Starting. And it's taking forever. Ah, now we're live. Alright. So now that we're on the air, let's everyone be quiet. That way.
Of course.
We just wanted to confirm it.
We are on the air.
Shayna Baszler is awful. Let's just start off right there.
I disagree.
I haven't seen her yet. Does she at least look like she has potential? Like, is it like a Nia Jax thing? Where it's like, yeah, this could be awesome, and then they just like, push to the moon when she's not fucking ready?
A little bit, yeah. I'd say so. I think the comparison that I liked the best was she's the female Baron Corbin. And to be honest, there was a good while there where Baron showed some serious potential. And she's got, like, some of this, like, her promo stuff is fine, but in ring, it's just boring. I'm sorry.
I feel like her in-ring stuff, I see what she's doing, but it's just not quite clicking yet.
Someone there has to be able to kind of teach her. I'm trying to think of someone. Dude, she needs to. Doesn't she hang out with Red Dragon?
I'm not sure.
Work with those two guys. Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish both bring a lot of that MMA style and into their pro wrestling and make it work really well. If she worked with them for a while, man, I bet she'd be great. But she's getting pushed to the moon. Like, dude, you go out there and beat Dakota Kai in like a minute. Fuck off. Dakota can fucking wrestle, man. She can go. That's just bullshit.
Dakota's good.
I know, and I know it's an angle and all that stuff, but come the fuck on, dude.
So it's cool that Candice LeRae got signed.
Yeah, come on now. Gargano got that high up in the company, and you don't think that he's going to bring his wife in?
She should have been signed months ago.
Years, as a matter of fact. Years.
Well, I'm assuming she probably made the deal around Mae Young Classic and just finished off her day on the road.
Probably.
Makes sense, though.
Anybody excited for a Miz and Maurice television show?
No. Here's the question. Is Mia Yim going to sign, or that's her name, right?
Yes.
Is she going to sign with WWE?
No, I don't think so.
Boo.
Dude, who?
She was on TNA for a while, wasn't she? Jade.
Oh, maybe
Hot Asian chick during the Mae Young Classic.
God,
She's
why
good too.
don't they sign Mia Yim? She's fucking great.
I have no idea, and it's like, and she would probably be someone that'd be a great teacher and mentor to a lot of the younger talents there.
So you remember during the Mae Young Classic, Baszler had her quarterfinal match with, who was that? But storyline, she was Baszler's mentor, quote unquote, as she was in the Indies with her and trained her up.
Mercedes
Martinez?
Yeah, that's it, Mercedes.
I don't think she's under contract with them.
Be cool if she was. But yeah, I remember like back, I think it was like 2 years ago or something. Remember when they were about to sign Blue Pants? Just remember this, they chose Blue Pants over Mia Yim.
All right. You guys ready to start the show?
Yep. Not that I don't like blue pants, but wasn't the best choice in hindsight.
I don't know. Let's see what else is there.
Oh yeah, she did face me in like 5 minutes, so maybe that was her.
Roll Tide. By the way.
No.
I just sat there. My mouth was just like aghast. I just couldn't believe what I had seen.
That there was so much ref ball going on.
Dude, that was the most SEC fucking title game I've ever seen in my life. That was just a painful ass SEC game, especially in the first half, dude.
Ref fall, kind of ironic, being I'm playing Titanfall 2.
What?
He said ref fall.
We said ref ball.
Ball.
Oh, okay. All right.
Referee ball. As in the referees did the ball moving for Alabama.
Okay.
Alabama shouldn't have been in the goddamn playoff anyway.
Yep. Saban to the Giants.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, you're funny.
I just read it.
Never gets old.
Well, I just heard it yesterday. Apparently, it's the one job he wants.
Oh, that's right. We're not on Twitch anymore. We're on Yahoo. Okay.
YouTube.
YouTube, yes, of course.
Why are we streaming on YouTube now?
Because Twitch didn't record our podcasts, and YouTube is back to being non-shitty about wrestling. Originally, it was the fact that YouTube completely disavowed all wrestling content and like demonetized all of it, but now it's back, allegedly.
There we are. Smark Snark episode 286, right behind Philip DeFranco.
Yep.
Ooh.
Whenever Yangum's ready, we'll get this show started. Feels good to be back.
Yeah, I'm ready whenever.
Molly Holly's confirmed for the Royal Rumble, by the way.
I know it's funny.
I mean, she's okay, but I don't know. Don't you think? Who are you on your guys' wish list for surprises to bring back?
Dude, legitimately, Molly Holly was one of them on my wish list.
Trish, Victoria, Kelly, only because she can't run the ropes, so therefore she wins. Layla, Michelle McCool, and I want to see a moment in the Rumble where it's Layla, Michelle McCool, and Peyton Royce and her other person that I'm not remembering the name of right now.
Billy Kay.
Yep, Billy Kay, having a face-off.
Oh yeah, those four. That would be cool.
Yeah, I definitely want to see a Lay Cool reunion for sure. I think we're gonna get a Wonder Blaze too. I feel like it's a pretty safe bet.
You know what? If we get a Luncher Blaze, fuck it. Let's try to get Bull Nakano.
I wouldn't be surprised. Gail Kim.
Bull Nakano.
Bull Nakano still wrestle?
Maybe.
Nakano, she can still wrestle even though she's semi-retired and of course looks like a model now.
Smoot, who else is on your list?
I could see Gail Kim too, actually.
Yeah, that's what I said.
All right, I'm ready.
So, Shao, go ahead.
I said, is Gail Kim not in TNA anymore?
She finished up her contract.
Yeah, she retired from TNA.
Okay, then Gail Kim's on my wish list. I don't really know who else would be on my wish list.
All right, Yankum, let's get the start of the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Smark Snark, episode 286. My name is Gunner, and over there is Mega BR.
Say Raw wasn't the only Crimson Tide this Monday.
And more like Cringing Tide. Speaking of Cringing Tide, it's Net Jester, who completely whiffs his entrance here.
Sure, you get me just at the time where I'm trying to tweet out the link to my show on my Twitter. Hi, everybody. How you doing? And as far as Ready Reporte, all I can say is the Champions Club is not the merch seller that Jason Jordan probably thinks it is.
We'll talk about Jason Jordan and more cringeworthy things after we talk to our wonderful technical producer, Mr. Yankum GS, who makes his triumphant return.
I'm back, bitches, and I didn't break nothing.
Yet.
You're here.
Also, is Xiaokana.
Hello, everyone. I don't have anything to say other than I'm about to get hit with a snowstorm. So if I die, well, I hate all of you.
How about them Bills?
I'm going to put myself through a table.
As long as it's on fire, that's okay.
Rest in peace, Bills Mafia.
Save us, dog.
Rest in peace, Bills Mafia. I'm gonna miss those videos so much.
Wait until next year.
I know, but I mean, could you imagine if they had made a serious run? How fucking crazy they would have got. I bet they could put together a decent backyard stable.
Implying that they haven't already all been in a backyard stable.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be like a super fed of backyarders.
That might have already happened in the Western New York scene. It's called the Shindies. Shots fired. This week, we're gonna get into the news because we haven't done that in a couple weeks. Thank you for bearing with us as our we've had a few updates and facelifts to the Smark Snark podcast. We're trying to get a new logo out there, and we're trying to be a little more active on social media. You might have been noticing that. All right, so there's been a lot of speculation about WWE possibly moving to Fox networks should they be unable to sign UFC in order to fill time on FS1 and FS2, with Raw likely going 2 hours on Fox and SmackDown on FS1. Fox would potentially want to purchase the WWE so they wouldn't have to worry about the future. However, it's likely Vince McMahon is selling the majority interest contingent on what happens to the stock prices following the TV rights deal. So, how would you feel if Fox ended up owning WWE? Think about this for a second, because currently Fox and Disney are planned. I don't know if this is complete yet, but they're planned to have a merger. So technically speaking, Disney would own WWE.
Hell, as long as it gets Raw back to 2 hours, let's do it.
Hear, hear.
Damn. I can't disagree, to be honest.
I mean, don't get me wrong. 3-hour Raw is perfectly fine once in a blue moon. But every week, oh bueno.
I remember when Raw was 2 hours.
I also remember when Michael Cole was heel.
I try to forget that.
I don't drink enough to be able to forget that.
If I have to remember, if Michael Cole ever went back to that persona, I swear to Jeebus, I would probably start drinking.
Do you honestly think Vince would ever sell his majority shares, or do you think that
No.
Steph?
No.
No, not at all.
Yes,
Oh, go ahead, Mike VR.
I think he would. I think he's an old man. He's not getting any younger. He's doing this alpha entertainment thing. He's always wanted to be known for more than just wrestling. If they gave him an offer like a UFC offer, where like, you know, he not doubled or anything, but if he like his personal worth right this second, if he got like half of that for WWE, I think he'd take it. I mean, I'm not saying he would. I think it's possible he would take it. I think it's possible he'd be like, you know, forget the legacy, forget all that. I want to go out on my own terms. Sorry, Triple H. Sorry, Steph. Sorry, Shane.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. Wouldn't that be akin to pretty much freaking selling it out from under Shane, Steph, and Hunter?
Yeah, but business is business. You got to do what's best for business.
You know, the hole in that theory is the fact that he sold a pretty minimal amount of shares and got about $100 million out of them. So he doesn't have to sell a whole lot to make a whole lot of money.
That's true, but if they gave him like a big, again, a lot of money is a lot of money. If they gave him a UFC type deal where he's making like, hundreds and hundreds of millions at once, and he wants to, I don't know what his intentions are outside of WWE. That's the thing. Like I said, he wants to, what?
This alpha entertainment thing is the wild card in all of this.
Well, yeah, like what is it supposed to be? Is it the XFL really coming back? Is it the United Football League? Is it, is it something different? Does he want to get more serious about, every little facet that WWE has gone into, the movies and the music and stuff that's never really panned out, even, reality stuff like Total Divas and this Miz show. I mean, which, by the way, is on USA, not E. So,
well, to be honest, that's really one of the only outside ventures that has panned out pretty well. Total Divas spawned Total Bellas. Both are doing fine for ratings, and obviously, it's being watched enough to the point where they're pushing The Miz and Maurice as a singles show. So,
all I'm saying is, I could see it. I think, I don't know the guy personally or anything, but I could, based on history and his desire to do more than just wrestling, again, let's say he doesn't last another 10 years. I mean, that's kind of where we're at, I mean, if he needs that money to maybe try and do something else, well, potentially having a stake, maybe not a say, but having a stake in WWE, then he might do it.
I don't think he'll sell. I don't think he'll sell all of his shares and just get out of the wrestling business entirely and just jump on this alpha, whatever the fuck it is.
For the record, today's closing price of WWE stock, $31.80.
If I remember correctly, right before the network launched, it was around $19. Think about that for a minute.
It's doing pretty well. I think the most it's ever been has been like $40, and that's when it first came out. It's always kind of hovered between $15 and $20 generally.
I could see Fox buying them out to a certain extent. I could see the McMahons as an entity holding on to partial shares basically still, and still owning the company, just like Zuffa and the brothers who owned Zuffa before they sold UFC again. I could also see where Vince wants to get out, but there's also the issue of Vince dying. I don't understand anything that has to do with any of that, so I'm kind of pulling this theory out of my ass to preface what I'm saying here. But what if there's some sort of legal mumbo jumbo that Vince's shares or something would be worth less, or it would be more beneficial for Vince to sell off his shares now and then have the children essentially and the grandchildren inherit the money that way? Because obviously there's a whole ton of money that's going to come down the, trickle down, if you would, into the family. And what is the most effective way for that to happen? And so if Vince sold a bunch of his shares, I could see where if he wanted to make sure that his family was set and that his grandkids essentially were able to go to college, even if the next day after he died, WWE turned out to be some Necronomicon kind of cult thing.
Right. That.
Hey man, I was watching early '99 Raw earlier, and they did a blood ritual on stage, and it lasted way too long. Come on now, if you don't think that's real, median.
The one X factor that we're not talking about in any of this is Facebook. And they're desperate to get into the TV game or whatever TV is nowadays. And they're obviously interested because of the mixed match challenge. We'll see, because they'll throw fucking whatever Fox can throw at them. I guarantee you Facebook will throw more at them. And that's the deciding factor.
Could you imagine Netflix?
No.
No, not really, because to tell you the truth, the only wrestling besides the Glow thing is they got one. It was 1 or 2 seasons of Lucha Underground, and they're not haven't said a mumbling word about adding the rest of them.
The other thing is, if they sign with Fox, they would just stay on Hulu because it's the same. Both companies own a stake. So,
well, I'm saying, I was more leading.
No, I mean, I know what you're alluding at, but the likelihood is it's very unlikely. And if Facebook signs them, there's no way they're gonna end up on fucking Netflix.
Well, right. All right, moving on. Sorry, that took way too long. John Cena versus The Undertaker is now the schedule for WrestleMania. Samoa Joe was injured on Raw and said to be a plantar fascia rupture, the tissue under the foot, and he could miss the Royal Rumble. Paige's head injury is said to be worse than originally thought, and she's likely to miss the Women's Royal Rumble. Gee, Paige having a head injury. When did we? Jokes.
Feel bad for both, honestly. This would have been Joe's first, right?
This would have been Joe's first, yes.
Yeah.
So I do feel very bad for both. Paige with the big comeback, and it looked like it was going well, and I mean, she deserves that spot in the historic first ever history making.
Buy a rolling pin, buy a tennis ball, buy a golf ball, and roll that thing on the underside of your foot, because that plantar fasciitis, you can get it so where it's pretty strong, and most people just don't give two heaping hells about their feet to know exactly what can be injured and what can't be injured. So, if that muscle's weak, kaboom.
Well, I just watched this video. I posted it in West. It was this video of this lady. She was doing this workout, and she ruptured her Achilles, and you heard it snap.
Oh, shit.
Ow.
Like, it sounded like a rubber band breaking. It was awful. Yeah, it just every time I hear about anybody's Achilles injury, it's Edge's Achilles injury that I just go immediately back to. for some reason or another. Also, John Cena. Also, Undertaker should never wrestle again. That's just my
No.
opinion.
I agree
should
with
not.
that. I feel like his what he did after the match with Taker should have just, or Undertaker versus Roman, like where he pretty much walked off to the sunset. That's where it should be. That's where it should end, and he shouldn't do another match. Because if you saw that match, you can tell he can barely move and he can't really go anymore. It's time to not wrestle anymore.
Yeah, but he still would probably want one more victory to go off into the sunset. And we all know that if you're going to go, John Cena giving up one for the Taker, he'd do that pretty much in a heartbeat.
John Cena versus Taker is a match that should have happened 10 years ago at
Yep.
WrestleMania.
Honestly, Taker should have retired at 20-0.
Or something like that. But anyway, moving on. Last news bit. Paid attendance for Wrestle Kingdom was 34,995. The largest crowd for a New Japan or non-WWE show in 16 years. Long Beach show tickets go on sale January 29th, and the company is doing a 4-city tour of Australia in February. The All In show, promoted by Cody and the Young Bucks, will take place on September 1st. 5-Star Wrestling now has a weekly television deal. The idea is to do a 3-hour live show from a major arena with a big budget every Thursday night in prime time.
Wow. From who? 5-Star Wrestling? I don't think I've even heard of these guys.
So
these were the guys that were going to do that big, like, 108-man tournament, and it was going to last most of the year, and they had all the bookings dated and everything, and they didn't do it, and a lot of guys lost out because they had scheduled to be booked for those dates and didn't had to think of a backup plan.
They're the promotion that like promises these big shows and then they can't draw a crowd and then they just cancel it and just fuck everyone out of their bookings. And they were also the promotion that was going to plan to pay CM Punk $1 million to come back. This is the same company that said they were going to do that.
On top of that, they're also the promotion or the same umbrella that brought out the 5-Star Wrestling video games. They gave us 2 of the greatest ripoff themes ever of all time that will never be topped.
And the only thing I can think of when I hear 5-Star Wrestling is Fright Train.
Yes.
I know it's $5 wrestling.
Oh, that's where it came from.
God damn it. It's Fright Train with my smooth belly. Cho.
Hello, Jane.
Exactly. Okay, good for them. But the more interesting thing I think about all of this, besides the Long Beach show, which I'm sure that Vassar somewhere is losing his mind over because he can go to it again.
You got to give us a report, Vassar.
Is the Cody and Young Bucks All In show. So, mind you, this is complete hogwash in theory. But recently, I saw this thread. Now I gotta find it again. Basically, it was like they were fantasy booking. And it was okay, yeah, 5-Star Wrestling. That's the next show. So for 5-Star Wrestling, why don't you guys read out who the heck is on the card for that 5-Star Wrestling?
Well, I'm just looking at the poster, but for the poster, front and center is the immortal Rey Mysterio, or as we like to call him, My Left Knee. Then there's Johnny Mundo, and it looks like Drew McIntyre, but I can't be sure. Then there's Caribbean Cool Carlito, and right behind him is that Bob Sapp? I'm not sure who that is.
That's Jay Lethal.
Oh, no, not behind Caribbean Cool. Who's behind Rey Mysterio?
That's Moose.
That's Moose.
That's Moose. Okay.
Bob Sapp Moose.
But I know who Jay Lethal is, and few
That
other
is
of
the
those
most
guys.
just Magnus looks kind of slow in the head.
That's the flyer I think for last year. That's January 28th, 2017.
Dude, that
Oh.
championship belt looks
Yep.
like plastic.
Unless that was their last event, which it might have been.
It
This is
looks like the next event for them is February 1st. But I don't see.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Jack Swagger, now going by his real name of Jack Hager, did a press conference where he was sort of he was joining, basically, and they said, he's a former WWE champion and all that stuff. Or world champion, anyway.
Yeah.
Their next big show, they're advertising Mysterio and RVD for headliners.
So I saw this fantasy card, and obviously it's fantasy card, but it's a 10,000 seat arena, right? You boys tell me if this would draw. So it'd be Young Bucks and Cody versus Liger, Mysterio, and Jericho.
I don't know about anybody else, but if I had traveling money, I'd go there now.
Marty Scurll versus Neville.
Ooh, that's
And here's where it starts going off the rails for me. Kota Ibushi against Bryan Danielson.
Yeah.
Well, that's not going to happen anyway because
he's locked until September in his contract, isn't he?
He probably a little bit later, yeah.
I think he's a little bit later, so I don't think that would work. But all right, boys, get ready to laugh. The main event: Kenny Omega versus CM Punk.
That won't happen.
That'd be nice, but it never happened.
So what if it did? I want
I won't. The fuck out.
It won't. The better question is, where is it going to be?
The two places that they were saying was either Chicago or was Southern California.
Chicago has a 10,000 seat arena that's in like suburban Chicago. That would work. I think that's where the Bulls D-League plays. And then where was the other place?
Center.
Yeah, that's it. That is exactly what it is.
They keep saying it. They decided on Chicago. They just haven't announced the venue yet.
Right.
Well, then it's the Sears Center, or if they're really feeling nutty, maybe they try the United Center. Or I really highly doubt Rosemont Horizon would have considering their relationship.
I think
with
the All-State
WWE.
is probably cheaper than the United.
Yeah, but the problem is that the WWE and Allstate Arena, which was the old Rosemont Horizon, I just don't see them booking anyone other than WWE. Like, WWE would get pissed.
To be perfectly honest, if Punk didn't make an appearance, AJ could, and I could see that being like a women's match of some sort. Where it was obviously, it would allude to Punk, but I don't necessarily. If Chicago's their place, then obviously it has something to do with Punk, in my opinion. He makes an appearance. He's on some sort of promotional material, something, because it's the boys essentially promoting this and not somebody else. I don't think that this event goes off without some sort of involvement from CM Punk, in my honest opinion. Obviously, he's focused on MMA. Obviously, there's that. But I think he fights in either quarter one or quarter two of this year. And by the time September rolls around, that whole idea of CM Punk wrestling again and this event coming up would be something that could be a little more feasible. But that's just me. And that's just my, looking into the crystal ball kind of thing.
So, do you think Punk would be amicable in any way, shape, or form into pulling a Bobby Lashley, doing MMA, and then doing, any sort of wrestling?
Well, I mean, it would be the idea that he tried again, he got his ass beat again. He had the same fight that he had with Mickey, and then he was like, "Nah, I'm good."
Doesn't he actually have to do MMA first in order to do both MMA and wrestling?
Shots fired.
Let's get into the time limit.
Let's do it. All right. So we didn't talk about it last week, but we're talking about it now.
A trip to the kingdom.
Wrestle Kingdom, number 12. 34,995 in attendance. It's going to be so wonderful.
Probably more than that. Probably closer to 40.
I wouldn't be surprised. But so we're going to run through the match list, and we're going to talk about a bunch of other stuff. So, Big Buff Daddy Star God David Big Daddy Mega Melts star ratings in bold, and I'll give the star ratings on each match as we go through it. The New Japan Rumble, 1.5 stars. Thoughts?
Ooh, who even won it?
Well, it's a New Japan Rumble, so you can't be too surprised.
Who won it?
Masahiro Kokihara.
Now, there's a story behind that I want to illuminate our audience with real quick. This was a guy who was diagnosed with cancer, and he was in the midst of fighting it, and I don't know if he's still fighting it or he beat it or something, but this was basically a feel-good moment, and as someone whose life has been altered by cancer himself, and that's all I'll say on that, it felt good to me in a way to see that this guy came out and got into there with the perennial favorite cheeseburger at the end and managed to toss Mr. Burger upside the ropes and win the Rumble.
Pretty much it goes bigger than that. He did beat cancer, but Kakihara used to be a big fighter in the UWF shoot style promotion, and he was also there to bring awareness to Takayama, who was also, in UWF. So, yeah. So all in all, it was a real good moment. It was a feel good moment.
Don't forget about the Takayama DLC on Fire Pro Wrestling. Go buy that shit. It was fun. And then we had the first match of the night. Roppongi 3K versus the Young Bucks. This got 4 stars. Personally speaking,
now I'm liking 3K. They're, they still got a little of the rookie rust on them, but still, they're pretty good. They're up and comers.
It was my second favorite match of the night.
This was definitely my top 5 favorite matches, but it was probably at number 5.
I don't think this deserves 4 stars. I think it's a 3.75 star match. It was good, and I like Roppongi 3K, and they're set up now as the team of the future. But this was really just kind of crowning the Young Bucks. It was a good match, but it was pretty boilerplate. But I mean, it's the opener, so that's what you get.
Right. All right, and then
okay, real quick, sorry, but I do want to get a little focus in on the fact that each member of each team were selling a back injury, and I thought they were selling it pretty well, and especially when it came to that part where the other members started kicking the opponents, they sold that well, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree completely. That was definitely the highlight of the match, and but it was really, I mean, outside of it was not much more than anything you would see in most. And it's good. I think they're going to have a much better match somewhere down the line, like a few months from now.
Gauntlet Trios match. Suzuki Gun versus War Machine and Elgin got 2.5 stars. Suzuki Gun versus Chaos got 0.75 stars. Chaos versus Taguchi Japan, 1.5 stars. And Chaos versus Bullet Club, 2.75 stars.
I fucking hate this format.
I agree.
This is awful.
Even if it was just a triple threat trios match, it could be so much better. Like, give them a chance to have a good trios match.
Well, they need to get everybody on the show. That's really what this issue was.
That's what the New Japan Rumble's for.
Well, not necessarily.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like.
Pretty much, it's just this match is just the clusterfuck of the show, and it was the trios titles, and like no one really gives a shit because I believe the team who won lost it the next night anyway, so who gives a shit?
Oh God, yes! Don't get me started on that damn one-day title reign crap.
There's literally been one credible champion with these titles, and that was Lij.
Correct.
Poor Bushi.
Poor Bushi.
Why did they do this to Bushi? Like,
why did they do this to both Bushi and Desperado, who both deserve infinitely more?
My God,
they just need to fuck off as the Brothers in Masks or something and win the junior titles.
You know what? It makes me sad that Despy's the fall guy and not Taichi.
Yeah.
Like Suzuki-gun's my favorite stable, and Taichi's literally the only person in Suzuki-gun I don't like. I wish he was the fall guy.
Moving on.
Alright.
Kota Ibushi versus Cody, 4.25 stars.
Well, I don't think anybody can argue that this wasn't a good match.
Oh no, it was a fine match. Also, I still love how much Kota just fucking bumps like a madman.
Oh my God, I think he's going to seriously hurt himself one of these days.
Actually, it was a pretty beautiful adjustment when you watch it a couple of times and see how he rolled through it. It was a brilliant spot, and this whole match was really well put together as far as how Cody was just a shit heel, and I think Cody is finally he's got his feet under him now. He knows who he is outside of WWE. He understands his style, what he's supposed to do. This was a fucking great match. This was actually in my top 3 of the show. I really, really love this match.
And Brandy's shit healing, this is becoming just as pretty much as good as Cody's.
I really think that this is a very nice way to set up seeds for the split of the Bullet Club and the Elite. Obviously, the Elite are going to stay together, with that being, Kenny and the Young Bucks and Marty and all that nonsense, and then Cody taking over, Bullet Club, if you would, or the other way around.
And the Gorillas of Destiny, yeah.
Right. And then have the all-Tongan group get together and be like, yo, we're fucking amazing. It's going to be NWA Red, NWA White, or some bullshit. But it'll all be Bullet Club, no matter what. And then they'll eventually make up, and that'll be years down the line. So this will be sweet, but Kota and Cody could go forever. I mean, you could rely on them to be a Intercontinental Championship match any day of the week. And main event if they need to, but they don't need to in this particular instance. I'm just happy that they got the spot that they have right now.
I'm happy that Kota got the pin, because that probably means Kota has made some sort of promise to New Japan saying, all right, you know what, you guys be one of my main spots going forward. And that would be fucking great.
Yeah, I hope he does stick around. Maybe it might lead to him doing, getting more up in the card and maybe even a title.
Another one of my favorite matches of the night, KES versus Evil and Sonata.
This match was so good. It was actually one of my top favorite matches, no matter how much everyone else in West was shitting on it just because they hate Killer Elite Squad for some reason.
I love Killer Elite Squad. They've gotten so good.
No, I've always loved them. Especially, I've always really liked Davey Boy Smith Jr. And honestly, Lance Archer's gotten a lot better, in my opinion. Lance Archer, also a friend of the show.
Friend of the show. No, but for real though, Lance has gotten so much better in his time in Japan. And Bop Face has turned from Bop Face to this, basically his dad, and it's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy how much of an evolution it is. Like, I want to see him now in WWE or in another, or basically out of the tag team division and into a singles thing where his character could develop even more, because he's ready for that shit now. Before it was like, oh, I'm gonna bop you, and now it's like, oh, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Pretty much, he's turned into a blonde-haired catch wrestling version of his dad,
which is amazing.
Exactly. Like, if you can make your dad better, that's how you do it.
Also, I'm also fucking impressed with Davey Boy Smith Jr. fucking doing a second rope moonsault or a backflip. I did not know he could fucking do that.
A sweet match. Right people won though. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's a very obvious choice, and definitely the right one considering how the rest of the night went.
Minoru Suzuki versus Hiroki Goto. Title versus hair.
Oh my god, this match. These were some of the stiffest shots of the night, and not only that, by two of the oldest competitors on the card. I mean, you were afraid that these guys were going to put each other into a rehabilitation hospital or some goddamn thing.
I'm just so pleased at this match.
This was tied for my match of the night.
Yeah,
they told the story so well. There's a lot of psychology in both of them beating the hell out of each other, and also Minoru Suzuki is just straight out of a horror movie, and Minoru Suzuki is what WWE needs more, an honorable heel, because after he lost the match, he actually went back in and shaved his own head. And also, this motherfucker is scary or bold, and I don't think this guy can get even scarier.
Yeah, that in and of itself cannot be overemphasized. The fact that he went back in after his stablemates drove him out, pulled him out, went back in, knocked the chair that was set up for him over, sat down his own chair, went to Goto, said, "Give me those goddamn clippers," and then sat down and started shaving his own head. And that was big. You could hear the gasp all throughout the Tokyo Dome.
He believed it. He was a man of his conviction, and he stood by it. It's an honorable thing. It's a completely wonderful, a wonderful gesture. And he's fucking nuts. He's fucking crazy.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It was the most badass way to do it, and it was heelish, and it made everyone respect him at the same time. It was perfect. This match was perfect too. This was just a beautiful match.
This is why Suzuki's my favorite in New Japan, and actually, honestly, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
I was worried about Goto in this match not being able to hold it, but damn, Goto actually had a great performance too.
Oh yeah, he stayed with Suzuki pretty much the entire time.
I love Goto. I really wish he would step away from Chaos and go a solo, like, loner route. Yeah, maybe if Shibata comes back, they just become the bro team and fucking kill people.
Maybe.
Also fucking love that Suzuki drop kick he did on Goto that actually busted his lip.
Right?
50-year-old man doing that shit, by the way.
It's ridiculous. Marty Scurll versus Kushida versus Will Ospreay versus Hiromu Takahashi. 4.75 stars.
Okay.
For the junior heavyweight.
Was this a good match? Yes, absolutely. Would this have been a better match if Ospreay had kept the title and it was just Ospreay versus Hiromu? I guarantee it.
Yep.
This was not a 4.75 match. This was not the second best match on the show. It was a really, really good match. It was a crazy kind of spot fest with a little bit of psychology. But I am so much more interested in Ospreay versus Hiromu at New Beginning. And that's going to be 10 times the match this was. It was the wrong match.
Marty's entrance was the best of the night, period.
He actually made that attire himself, and it looked fucking badass. And I agree with everything Dog said. I'm more interested in seeing Hiromu versus Osprey. That would have been a way better match. Not to say this match wasn't good, definitely not the rating that it got. And well, I am looking forward to seeing Osprey versus Hiromu.
Yeah,
I must give a
Skrull
quick-
definitely saved it with his entrance. Not only the wings, but the custom umbrella that had IWGP Junior Champion Wrestle Kingdom 12 on it. That was the entrance is badass. I still say though that I would have rather seen the other way around, but
Yep.
it was Osprey's big moment. So okay.
Must also give a quick shout out to Daryl and his lucha mask for the night.
It was actually son of Daryl that was out there, so it was the child that we had heard about from the marriage earlier in the year. So that was not actually Daryl. That was son of Daryl.
Okay, I didn't know. You know, cats have 9 lives, so I just thought that after Fale finished him, you know, he'd be on his 8th. But okay.
He's technically on the 7th, but we'll get into the timeline of Daryl later on. But speaking of a young kitten, Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Jay White, 3.75 stars. Welcome to the world, Jay White. Your gimmick is kind of cool.
Well, I will say that this was probably the worst match of the night, but it's not a bad match at all. But it was a horrible match to put Jay White in at his comeback. Horrible match. Like, they should have just put him in a tag match, or if they were going to put him in a singles match, don't make it against Hiroshi Tanahashi for a title at the Dome.
If Ibushi and Jay White had switched places on the card, I think this would have been a better night.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, that's a safe assessment. It's so hard because it's not like the Jay White that was in America coming out. It's his brand new character. He's never wrestled as his character before. And it takes time to understand what you do in the ring as a character. It'd be like if Naito came back as Tranquilo and then was instantly in a big title match. It wouldn't have worked out.
It worked out as best as it could. Tanahashi was given an easy match with an easy competitor. Jay was going to try to make his night, but obviously Tanahashi was supposed to retain here. Good tomato can.
Jay White, by the way, will be fine long term. This is exactly what Okada did when he came back and he was given that monster push and he had a shitter match at Tokyo Dome. And everyone thought, oh, God, what's going to happen? And then he'll be just fine. He just needs some time to get into the character because he's never played Knife Pervert before.
Yeah, everybody knows that Jay White will probably be good coming out of this. But I have to raise this point. My all-time favorite, Tana, I'm beginning to get a little worried about him. He's getting, I don't know if this is kayfabe or actual, but rumor around is he's got a lot of injuries that need to heal and even something that needs an operation. So I'm worried that we could see the dawning of an end of a career here, and that drives me up the wall with one of my favorite all-time wrestlers.
I'm hoping and I'm thinking that Kota winning and Hiroshi Tanahashi winning is set up for a few months down the line where Kota takes the title and then Tana gets some time off to heal. But we'll see.
Tana just needs the time off to heal and shoot movies.
So does so do a whole bunch of people in that company. We know how it usually goes.
Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho. 5 fucking stars.
How does it deserve it?
Has Chris Jericho ever had a 5-star match?
Not that I can think of on the top of my head.
This is his first.
I have to say, in my personal opinion, I think he came close the night he won both the titles from Stone Cold and The Rock. But, you know, that's just a hair from being the ultimate 5-star experience.
This was the best match of the night, and it really wasn't even all that close. It was just a brilliant, bloody brawl, and Jericho fucking brought it, and I doubted him a little bit, and I should not have. It was amazing.
Well, it's okay to doubt him because up to this point, we've never seen him do anything like that in WWE. I mean, that's just a logical. That's just a logical thing. We didn't know he could go like this. He surprised the hell out of us.
You know, we were talking about that All-In event. Is there any chance that Jericho ends up maybe because let's say the Bucks and a bunch of people go on his cruise, and then as the return of the favor, he's on that show?
I could totally see Jericho being on that. And also, yeah, this was my match of the night too. And to people who thought that we would never see this from Jericho, well, we did see things like this from Jericho, but that was like 20, 25 years ago. And well, I fucking love Chris Jericho in New Japan. I just love this incarnation of him, and I'm looking to see what the hell he's going to do next.
Dad bod has morphed into Mad bod.
Also, like I remember, like after watching the show, I went over to my friend's house and I was jokingly saying, "It'd be funny. You know, it'd be funny if Chris Jericho's first match outside of WWE in almost 20 years gets 5 stars." And here we are.
5-star match. That's not surprising. Kenny Omega has that way of doing things. My question is it Kenny doing it or is it Chris doing it?
It's both. I mean, these guys are both such talented dudes that you knew. I mean, everyone knew it was going to be a pretty good match. I just didn't know if Jericho had the ability to hold up his end of the bargain with it. But, I mean, no questions asked. No doubts left. No doubt about that.
I'm very pleased that Jericho is sticking around in New Japan. I would like to see more of Jericho. Hopefully, we'll be able to get more out of him, which will be very interesting. But yeah, this was fantastic. I'm wondering what Omega thinks because Omega hasn't chimed in at all on this one.
Fearless leader, are you there?
Well, you know, I'm afraid I have a confession. I still haven't seen most of the show. I've been rather busy, but I did see a majority of the Omega Jericho match, and I could kind of tell watching it that Meltzer would give it 5, just because it had a, I don't know if I would necessarily agree, but it had very old school feel to it. Jericho trying very hard to be a very disrespectful heel, not trying to be a cool heel, you know, when he grabs a camera and, you know, shutters a bunch of photos of his middle finger, and he audibly swore at several points during the match. And
oh man, the promo that he cut the other night, he was just cussing the whole time. I'm sure he was loving it.
And I mean, you know, it was kind of a different kind of New Japan match because, you know, they start off right out of the gate with the twin punches, you know, hammering away at each other. There wasn't a whole lot of, you know, it's a different element. You know, one of my favorite matches of all time, there wasn't a whole lot of wrestling. It was Flair versus Foley at SummerSlam when they had the I Quit match, and they basically beat each other up, and then Flair destroyed Foley with the hardcore elements, the tacks and the barbed wire board and the bat and everything, before finally Melina, you know, Foley's cohort, tried to quit for him, and Flair acted like he was going to go after Melina, and Foley finally quit. But point being, you know, Flair, of course, the story behind that match, you know, Flair, one of the greatest technical wrestlers of all time, talking about Foley, you know, being a glorified stuntman and everything, and then they go and have a hardcore match. So the basis of Omega and Jericho saying, you know, this is going to be a fight, you know, and it was really. They did very little wrestling except for the fact Jericho kept going for the walls, you know, just beating each other, grabbing chairs, throwing it at each other, actually destroying a table for once in Japan. You know, it had a different feel to it. So, you know, on its own, Did it deserve to be 5 stars? I'm not so sure, but when you take all those things into account, the atmosphere and the story behind it, then I can certainly see why it got it.
I completely agree. To be fair, I mean it's the kind of match where you can't really paint by the numbers. Like a 5-star WWE match, you know what's going to come. You know what you're trained as a WWE watcher to see. You're going to see multiple finishes. You're going to see all this crazy shit. But really, what this was 2 artists in the ring, essentially playing out a match. And I was listening to the Jericho podcast today, or yesterday rather, and it was talking about this match and what went on. And basically, what they did was the match hype got so personal and big. You know, obviously, all of these matches could, half of these matches should have been no DQ anyway, because of the way that because of what went on in them. But this match felt completely different because it was expected to be no DQ, because of how how dangerous and how big and how angry and how violent it got. And I think what's missing, and I think the thing that the WWE misses out on being this polished product, is that ECW sort of, power that you have when you're able to create raw and gritty sorts of storylines like this one that allows for the 2 competitors to be themselves and be their truest self by not having to censor themselves. I mean, if you look at Jericho and you look at look at his eyes and you look at how much fun he's having being an asshole, I mean, it's just so beautiful, in my opinion. And the fact that Kenny is able to continue on being Kenny up to different styles and have this kind of match with somebody who obviously there's a big number there, 47. That's how old Chris Jericho is right now. And people would be like, "Oh man, it's gotta fucking suck to be him to wake up in the morning. Oh man, he's too old to be doing some of this shit." I mean, the dude went through a Japanese table. That's not no gimmick table. That's a real freaking solid sort of table.
God, yes.
And then afterwards, when you see him in the walls, his ass is bleeding because he went through the damn table. It's details like that, and it's small things that you wouldn't normally necessarily see. I'm not even saying it's the blood. I'm just saying it's the smaller, finer things about this match that if you go watch it 5 more times, you're going to catch a new thing every time. And that's the definition of a 5-star match for me. So I'm not surprised I got this at all. Let's get into the main event. Kazuchika Okada versus Tetsuya Naito, only 4.5 stars.
Well, although I can see that rating to an extent, there's a bigger question here for me. And it's not, did Naito get buried, but is Okada himself approaching John Cena levels of LOL Okada wins?
I'm going to start this conversation by saying this much. The right person went over. Agree or disagree?
I disagree. I feel it was very much Naito's time, and it would have really capped off the story with, it started at Wrestle Kingdom 8. And Naito is the new up-and-coming guy to challenge Okada for the title, and, well, it got bumped to the co-main event for the Intercontinental title match, and then finally, Naito finally wins the IC title, destroys that title, because he fucking hated that title for taking his main event, and now he wins the G1 and he finally gets his main event. He finally gets that title match, and he really should have finally gotten his revenge on Okada, and fell flat because Okada still won.
I mean,
I just want to echo that sentiment and say that just the timing of it all. There's so rarely a point where you get it's 4 years from the day that they had that match in the Tokyo Dome, and Naito looked like a geek, and it was his lowest point of his life, and he didn't get the main event. It's just so rare you get the timing of the storyline of 4 years. It was just the right moment to have that push. And the other thing I want to say about it too is that Okada already had, like, they want to make him this really dominant champion. And I get that, and it makes sense because he is that good. But the thing is, Okada already has the longest, by the time Wrestle Kingdom happened, he already had the longest individual title reign by like 100 days. And he has the longest combined reign now in that title's history of like 40 years. He's already that guy. He's already been made to that point. There's not nearly as much benefit as you get out of keeping the belt on Okada than you do on putting it on Naito at that point. And the people were there to see it put on Naito. And it's just the timing of it was it was perfect, and it's never gonna mean the same. It just never will.
You know what? I think there's a reason Kenny Omega never got the title, and it's probably the same reason that Naito didn't get it here. I think if you I agree with you all. It really did feel like the right time, given the storyline and the timing and how popular LIJ is in Japan and America, for that matter.
They've never been hotter. They've never been hotter. This is their best year, but keep going.
But that's the thing. New Japan is very much a long-term booking company as compared to WWE. I mean, when WWE whiffs a moment, they put on a show every week. It's easier for them to whiff these moments. For New Japan, I guarantee they're already thinking about next year's Dome. They're thinking about the America show, the Long Beach show. They're thinking about down the line. They're thinking about G1. And, it's kind of that mantra of, how far can you stretch it before the moment's passed. But I mean, hey, the fact that Naito didn't win the title here, he's going to have a match with Jericho. That frees him up for that. Who's Okada going to face? Well, it might not be as thrilling as, Jericho Naito, but, arguably Okada Naito wasn't quite as thrilling as Jericho Omega. So you've got kind of this deal going on with the Bullet Club. There's always that tease that they might dissent, split up. Jay White didn't join them. He joined Chaos. I think in the long run, you're looking at something where I think they feel the moment's going to be that much stronger. I wouldn't be surprised to see these two go at it again next year at the Dome. At the end of the day, it's just different mentalities. Maybe it'll work out for the best. Maybe it should have been done here. I don't think it was an egregious decision to have him lose, but I think back to, if I'm not mistaken, I remember Tanahashi and Okada during one of their matches, and Tanahashi ended up winning, and the ace, the John Cena of New Japan, heeled it up on the mic, basically telling Okada, you didn't get it done, I'm the one. And that kind of, look where Okada is now. So, who's to say if it was the right decision or not, but I don't think it was it's not like Daniel Bryan not winning the Royal Rumble or not being in it or whatever,
There's really only two directions that you can go from this that would be justifiable for making this decision, in my opinion. And that's either Kenny wins the title at the Long Beach show, or maybe Dominion, or Naito wins the G1 again for the second year in a row and then gets the match and beats Okada in the main event in a 5-star fucking classic. Because the match itself was tepid for what we expect out of that. And especially the last few years, the matches that we've seen in that main event slot. It's still an excellent match. It was still a great moment. I loved the big pants. Big pants Okada is money. But
Big pants Okada.
look at those pants, man. Those are giant fucking.
Yeah, I know. I just got to bring up one thing here real quick. I don't know if we talked about this last week or even if we had a show last week. My memory's slipping me. But this is one thing I've heard on the internet for the past week, ever since Wrestle Kingdom. WWE has the problem where they'll go for short-term gain and then totally forget about the long term. I've seen a lot of people rail against NJPW for the exact opposite, that they think too far in the future and neglect the moment when things are truly hot and happening right now.
I can totally agree with that.
What we're looking for out of a company. And it's, that whole Jim Cornette versus Vince Russo way of booking. Only, in the modern era. Japan actually thinks out their storylines and plans years in advance. WWE doesn't know its own name between Tuesday and Friday. I mean, it's pretty obvious the way that the two work. While WWE invites more chaos and is able to grab onto the next big meme, New Japan just won't. But to get into my little analysis of this match, the right person went over because Okada's the goddamn ace. The ace of your company wins at the biggest show of your year, period. It does not matter how much. It does not matter how much we need it or how much we want it right this very second. It's not the right moment. And to have your ace lose, especially during this dominant run, obviously, would it have been worthy? Sure. But it wouldn't have been right. Because obviously he's got some other stuff to prove and some other ridiculous mark to set with this title for him to actually be, the number one guy. Wrestle Kingdom is his event. I mean, it's like in this particular instance, I understand the John Cena quote that, Jester made earlier, but really, he's Hogan. Hogan from in the early 90s, right when he won the belt, right until about, 91 when he first left. That's where Okada is right now. That's how popular and strong of a character he is. And honestly, if we go back 10, 20 years from, 10, 20 years from now, and we move forward and we look back on this day, I could see the Okada-Hogan parallels running wild, brother. Only he's not a dick.
Bro.
And that's the biggest thing.
Here's a huge flaw in your theory. When Hogan was on top, no matter how strong the Macho Man or the Ultimate Warrior were, they never outsold Hogan merchandise. That is not the case in New Japan.
Well,
you got Bullet Club merchandise flying off the shelves and in a major retailer in the U.S., and you've got LIJ shit flying off the shelves in Japan and really starting to pick up steam in the U.S. Okada is amazing, and he puts on some of the best matches of all time. But
which is
what you have two other massively popular acts right now that in some ways are bigger.
Well, you know what? The Rock and Steve Austin and probably The Undertaker and probably those three really were all super, super hot at the same time, and they couldn't all be champion at the same time. And they couldn't all be fighting each other at the same time either. So, they might need to modify the way they do things a little bit if they want to retain the American audience and, retain people on New Japan World and everything. But I just like to point out, too, it was Wrestle Kingdom 7 where Tanahashi beat Okada the first time. At Wrestle Kingdom 8, he beat Nakamura, Tanahashi, that is. At Wrestle Kingdom 9, Tanahashi beat Okada again, and after that match, that was when Okada left the ring weeping, and Tanahashi kind of healed it up on the mic some. And then at Wrestle Kingdom 10, Okada beat Tanahashi, although he was already the champion. He retained the title. And, of course, last year at 11, Okada beat Omega, and this year Okada beat Naito. So that's not to say that, I remember a lot of people saying Okada should have won at 9, and he's not exactly worse for wear right now. So,
yeah, that's Omega's just backing up my point. I see Okada losing the belt after, I think it's the one record that he doesn't have with the belt right now is the Tanahashi defenses, because Tanahashi did 11, and I think he's at 10 now, unless he's defended it since Wrestle Kingdom, which I'm not paying attention very much.
No, definitely not. The next defense is at a New Beginning.
All right, so at New Beginning, he'll be at 10, and then there will be one more, and it'll be 11. or it'll be 11 at New Beginning, and then he'll break it at 12 at the one after that, I think. But regardless, he's got to break that record, and then I'm thinking Dominion. Honestly, right before the summer starts, I could see it be Naito and Okada again, and this time Naito wins, and I think that Naito is your champion heading into Wrestle Kingdom, and then it'll be Naito and Okada again, and Okada wins the belt back at Wrestle Kingdom 13. But that's my current. That's if I
gag me with a fucking spoon, dude.
Huh?
No thanks. No fucking thanks to that shit. Okada's made. He doesn't need. You can't make him any more than he's made right now.
But that's not the point of making him,
dude.
It's not the point of making him. You're missing the point.
Well, then you're just wasting resources on a dude that's already at that level. And we fucking clown WWE about this shit all the time.
Oh,
you have to do the same to New Japan, especially when it's so obvious.
I agree. I'm not saying that you're wrong. What I am saying, though, is that this is the way it's going to be. Because Okada's the ace. And that's why I'm comparing him to Hogan. Because at the end of the day, Hogan's going to win. Hogan's going to win the belt at WrestleMania anytime between 88 and freaking 94. If Hogan's at WrestleMania, he'll win the belt at WrestleMania. And if he's not, then the fuck you doing, bro? I mean, it's not. This isn't rocket science here. It's the fact that he's the ace, and it's the fact that he's their number one guy, and that he's committed enough to that to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to do X, Y. That we're going to do X, Y, and Z with you, which is why that Okada won this time, and Okada will win at WrestleMania at Wrestle Kingdom 13. No matter who he's facing. And it could be even for the IC belt, and this whole, Naito thing could go off into the distance or something. I don't know. But that's just the way, if I were to write this out and were to do it in their style, that's exactly how it would happen. All right, that's enough. Let's wrap this up. Is there anything since I'm future booking here, is there anything exciting for New Japan's future that anybody is looking forward to right now?
Well, the Naito Jericho stuff should be pretty good. Other than that, I'm just, I want something to happen with Tana, but he needs to rest and recuperate from his injuries.
Am I the only one that thinks Jay White joining Chaos makes no fucking sense?
Chaos is the group you join when you don't want to join a group.
I thought that was Taguchi Japan.
No, that's when you're a jobber and you don't want to join a group.
So Jay White right now.
He is just there to turn on them eventually.
Yeah.
Oh, here's an idea. Do you think that what went down at New Year's Dash was just a fake out and he's undercover Bullet Club agent in Chaos?
No.
It's too American of a storyline.
Yeah.
I think Jay White is going to have a very interesting year. I think he's in the G1. He doesn't win. But he will have a very interesting year. And he'll find singles competition. And I think that it'll be maybe a neverweight. I don't know. Something smaller for him. I don't see big things for him next Wrestle Kingdom. But I could see where they're going to, strap a rocket to his emo fucking looking ass. All right, I think we petered out. Not enough Wrestle Kingdom. Let's do Dairy Queen drive-thru. Since Vassar isn't here, Shao Kahn with the ratings.
Alrighty, let me find the ratings. There's the ratings. Impact, who is now having 4-sided ring, has gone with 309,000 up from the 285,000 mark, and Raw with the 2.1 2.766 million, down from the 2.865 million. And SmackDown with the 2.603 million, down from the 2.720 million. And that is this week in the ratings.
Dog with the birthdays.
Happy birthdays today to Gory Guerrero, Haruka Eigen, Mick McManus, Richard Shikat, Ken Kenneth, Count Bartelli, and Daniel Curtis. Happy birthdays tomorrow to Luna Vachon, to Big Dick Dudley, to George Becker, to Ray Stern, to Tony Nardo, to John Cronus on the 13th, a few days from now. Also Ed Bearcat Wright, JT Lightning, Billy Firehawk, Ramon Torres, and the Cosmic Commander on the 13th. And then on the 14th, Damian Houston and Papatikis or Popatikis. I have no idea. It sounds Greek. You get the idea. Happy birthdays to whoever you are on the 14th. Happy birthdays on the 15th to Eddie Graham, to Tommy Gilbert, and to Manuel Ineos. Also, happy birthdays on the 16th to Sir Oliver Humperdinck, to Heather Savage, to Joe Scarpello, to Eric the Great, and to Tony D'Amato. And then happy birthdays on the 17th to Corsico Joe, Fred Bell, and the one and only greatest women's wrestling champion of all time. Do you believe this man on the moon, Andy Kaufman? Rest in peace.
I was going to say, great save with the Greek name. I was about to jump in and say Papadopoulos, but you recovered that well.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
I mean, if there's a pop and a US in it and a K, it's probably Greek or in that Eastern Bloc.
And now it is time for This Week in Wrestling with Mega VR.
Yes, this week in wrestling history, circa 1971, where Jerry Jarrett and Tojo Yamamoto defeat the Heavenly Bodies, Al and Don Green, to win the Mid-America NWA Slimming Tag Team title in Chattanooga, Tennessee. This ended the Heavenly Bodies' fifth reign and began Jarrett and Yamamoto's second. Jump to 1984, where Rayo de Jalisco Jr. defeats Hirata Morgan to win the Mexican National Heavyweight title in Mexico City, Mexico. And in 1994, Far Too Wild, Chris Michaels and Todd Morton defeat PG-13, JC Ice, and Wolfie D for the held-up USWA Tag Team title in Memphis, Tennessee. The title was held up after a match between the two teams on January 3rd in Memphis. And this began Far Too Wild's second reign. And that was This Week in Wrestling History.
Happy trails this week to Matt Hardy, who now owns all principal aspects of the Broken Gimmick.
Which is great, but we no longer have the broken gimmick. We have the woken gimmick.
Happy trails to
So,
Impact.
we'll just see where it goes. He's feuding with Wyatt. You know what they need to do.
Be unique every week instead of just yes. Because eventually we're all going to start doing it and start laughing at it.
It's gonna be insane to Jerry Lewis like levels of lady, hi lady, nice lady.
Oh, Lord. To Happy trails to Impact, who are going back to a 4-sided ring at the latest set of tapings, where spoilers, a double became the world champion.
Ugh.
Also, there were Twitch logos on the apron, and Impact Wrestling Channel on Twitch recently streamed old TNA shows. Impact Wrestling on Twitch.
I gotta look at that.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Why do you think we left?
Like a true shindy.
Isn't What Culture on Twitch too?
Probably.
Who cares?
I don't anymore since they fired their best people.
All right, finally, happy trails. I'm going to jump in here to Christy Hemme. Mazel tov. She gave birth to quadruplets.
Thank you. To yank him on the moon.
Yes, yank him on the moon. Who his microphone is way the fuck over there. Hemi had quadruplets, 3 girls and a boy, I believe it was.
Amazing.
And now for the newest stable of her children, the Hemis. We are Hemis. We are Hemis. We are Hemis.
I think she named one of them Hemi.
Oi, oi, oi.
It's better than she naming him one of them Dodge because of the Dodge Hemi, but
can you not?
Oh, dude. Kelly can train Hemi.
Okay.
Okay, let's get out of here before we start making jokes about Dogecoin.
All right, what should we watch this week in wrestling?
You tell me, Shao Kahn.
Well, I think we should. We got the good and we got the bad. The good is you should watch Suzuki versus Goto at Wrestle Kingdom. The bad, the backstage segment with Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss, where they say that apparently Asuka can't speak English, even though all of her promos are in English.
Something happened.
Bro, all of her promos are not in English. I don't know what you're talking about. They're all in Japanese. We just know Japanese well enough that we can understand her.
Oh, universal translator. That's going to be our kayfabe now, is it?
Yes, that is now official kayfabe. That there is a universal translator in WWE production trucks that changes Asuka's Japanese to English as it goes out to our televisions.
Hey, I stop it right there. You know that this is a thing. It's been a thing since the late 90s. Indeed.
All right. I'm going to jump in because I don't want someone else to steal it. What to watch this week in wrestling is Braun Strowman pulling down a big light
trestle.
Yeah. Trestle with a fucking grappling hook that just, because they just leave grappling hooks backstage. That's a thing.
They leave them in toolboxes and stuff because you really need the grappling hook.
Yeah, all the time.
Well, they set up trestles that don't do anything.
Right, they do that too.
I expected the right side of the stage to come crumbling down from the front, and that would have been so great.
Part of the Tron going down, that would have been something.
Yeah, that would have been perfect. So he pulls. Yeah, just go watch him pulling that fucking light.
I'll tell you what, though. And, it's not so much like the monstrous feats of strength, but Strowman is pushed so much the way Reigns should be. Am I wrong?
No, Strowman is pushed the way that Strowman should be.
Well, I'm just saying.
Strowman deserves Reigns' spot.
I mean, well, yes. Yeah. I'm talking about, as far as, being the guy that, it's so unforced. I feel like I'm watching Attitude Era again when not just the goofy, pulling a thing down. I mean, when he talks, when he comes down the way and everybody runs, when he beats people up, I don't know.
He's not rigging with you.
They didn't book Steve Austin to sell shirts to kids, and they're not booking Strowman to do it either.
Which is fantastic.
It's kind of a point.
Also, by the way, fun fact for those who didn't know, it's called a lighting truss.
Yeah, that's what I said, a lighting truss.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not fussing with you. Natchester, what should we watch this week in wrestling?
Well, because all my stuff just got stolen.
Are you saying it was a truss fall?
Oh, God damn it.
Well, it's better than being a Titanfall. That's how I started the night. Anyway.
I'm sorry, NJ. Go ahead.
No problem. Anyway, since both my spots got stolen, I'm just going to go back to NJPW, and it may be a feel-good moment, but I mainly want people to take away from the New Japan Rumble exactly what fun it is for an opener. It's not supposed to be the greatest thing in the world. It's not supposed to have far-reaching consequences. It's a bunch of guys who just get in there and do their best because this is the biggest show of NJPW's year, and they have fun with it, and they do the best they can with it. So go watch the Rumble again, and maybe you might find something that you didn't see before.
Save us, dog. What we watched this week in wrestling?
I'm not going to suggest anything from Wrestle Kingdom because most of us have watched it, and if you haven't, you should have, and you should already know that you should have watched it. So instead, I'm going to suggest, since the Royal Rumble is right around the corner, there are a lot of times where there are some just fucking amazing singles matches on the Royal Rumble, and I'm going to suggest probably my favorite match of all time. I still think it is. I don't think there's anything that's ever beaten it for me. In 2001, the Intercontinental Championship ladder match between Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit. It is the best ladder match of all time, in my opinion. There'll never be a better one.
Omega BR, what should we watch this week in wrestling?
The first thing that came to mind was Aiden English and Rusev versus Breezango from SmackDown, just to remind yourself the way things are, in case you're too hyped from Wrestle Kingdom.
My suggestion also comes from SmackDown, and it was actually the Fashion Files from this week, with the giant training segment for the Ascension to face it up against the Bludgeon Brothers.
Don't you mean dun 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 the Canaanites?
The Canaanites, yes, against the Canaanites.
I'm trying to push that on Woo, but I'm getting a lot of pushback.
It's the Canaanites 100%. I would also like for you guys to check out a website if you do collectibles. And you like boxes full of wrestling collectibles and you have some money to spend. ThatWrestlingClub.com has a wrestling box, and this month's wrestling box includes a Funko Pop of Braun Strowman, and it's autographed.
Nice. No, we are not sponsored by them, but
No.
If they should happen to find us, we'll show whatever the hell you want.
Exactly.
We're just like that.
That's the truth. That's a shoot, brother.
Before we go, who's winning the Mixed Match Challenge? That starts this week on Tuesday. This coming week.
I just gotta say, I love the brackets. They're beautiful.
Yes, they are.
Asuka and Miz.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oscar and Miz.
Yeah, I guess I would agree with that.
It'll be Strowman and Bliss, Asuka and Miz, Rude and Flair, and then in the second chance fan vote, it'll probably be like Elias and Bailey or something.
Well, the funny thing about that in the semifinals, the second chance fan vote, apparently, whoever advances, the people who advance to the semifinals, one's going to get knocked out by not having enough votes, basically. So somebody who's eliminated can come back, even if somebody who advanced.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
it's a really strange looking bracket, but basically it's 3 brackets of 4 teams, and then they're going to eliminate them down to 3 single elimination, and then whichever team the fan votes are the ones that lost. Well, yeah, it's you have to take a look at it and read it for a little bit, but that's how the bracket actually is put together. It's so confusing looking though.
It is very confusing looking.
So it'll be Bliss and Strowman out of the one set of brackets. It'll be Miz and Asuka out of the next set of brackets. It'll be Rude and Flair out of the third set of brackets.
And then I bet you fucking money that Baylor Banks would be the fan vote.
Yes, and Baylor Banks is the fan vote. And then Baylor Banks wins because obviously they're the fan
Gimmick, dude.
vote, so they want to
Yeah.
And Asuka beats Bliss because that happens. and Miz gets eaten by Strowman, literally on television live, whole one bite.
Like a bear mauling for the first time on network television. We're talking about Facebook. Damn it.
Oh, I see. Okay, I was confused.
Pretty much,
so
it's going to be.
somebody doesn't get eliminated by the vote. It's out of the first round. There's going to be
Isn't it? It's just the weirdest layout.
It's not even. It's not even. It's 6 teams
Yeah.
advance, and then 3 teams advance, and then it turns into an even bracket because the fan vote will provide a 4th team, and then there'll be 2 teams left to battle for the finals. I see.
It looks like a normal bracket, but it's actually 12 teams, and you can't divide that into 2 and make 4.
Which becomes 6, which becomes 3, and then the fan vote makes it 4, and then 2, and whoever wins. Okay.
Can I just stop everybody for a second here? That first round match, it's Shinsuke Nakamura versus Finn Balor.
Yes, it is.
You're right, it is.
That's going to be a crazy good match.
And Sami Zayn versus Braun Strowman.
I'm not finished with you. I love it. Like that right there is like the saying of the past like 2 years. I'm not finished with you. I wish he would use that more often.
All right, we're an hour and a half in.
Oh Jesus! Wow, we've had a show today. Well, we had to talk about,
Yes, we have.
we got to talk about Wrestle Kingdom, and we had a bunch of other crap come up, so it's not surprising. Thank you all for listening very much. Thank you, podcastthemes.com, for our theme song. You can check us out online, facebook.com/SmarkSnark, twitter.com/SmarkSnark, youtube.com/SmarkSnark, a whole bunch of other places too. Check out our Patreon if you think that we're awesome and you want to contribute to this podcast. We shall be a little bit more consistent now once we've got everything back up and running, and you know that we're basically back to normal. So I'm very happy. It's WrestleMania season, boys. We're revving right up for it. I can't wait. I know we just had Wrestle Kingdom when we're coming out from that little high, but I am so excited for WrestleMania season and the Royal Rumble coming up here. Because, well, it's the best time of the year.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
You probably would have shut my mic off if I sung that.
Yes, you
Yes.
would have. And I want to shut Yankum's mic off for singing that too. But he's the one broadcasting this, so I can't. All right, everybody. Just remember, don't be a Mojo Raleigh. Take care, spike your hair.
Woo, woo, woo.
You know it.
You blew it, Ryder. Way to go.
Good night, Big Bend.